President Trump says he'll announce his decision on the Paris climate deal on Thursday afternoon with an event in the White House Rose Garden. Our Major Garrett reports the president is leaning toward pulling out of the agreement. But on Wednesday, Mr. Trump said he's still deciding.
Very soon.
Are you leaning towards getting out?
You're going to find out very soon. Thank you all very much.
David Kreutzer is a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He served on President Trump's landing team for the EPA, advising the administration on staffing for the agency. He's with us now from the Heritage Foundation headquarters in Washington. So, David, if the U.S. can stay in the agreement without meeting its targets of carbon cuts, what does it have to lose?
What does it have to gain? I mean, what's the point of staying in an agreement if it's a fraud? So, and the thing is, we won't be able to stay in the agreement and not abide by it, regardless of what the other countries do. We have domestically, we have groups, environmental groups, that will sue to make sure that we do abide by that agreement, and it's a bad agreement.
What specifically is bad about the agreement?
Okay, what's bad about the agreement is that it has huge costs. Just in the U.S., it would be $2.5 trillion over the next 15 years, much more as we go through the rest of the century. Worldwide, it would have costs of $1 to $2 trillion per year for the rest of the century. And it would have no impact on global warming, none to speak of, maybe 0.3 of a degree moderation from whatever warming we're going to have. So it has huge costs, lost jobs, higher energy prices, and negligible environmental benefits at best.
The International Energy Agency projects that the global clean energy market will total over $60 trillion in the next 2.5 decades as countries tackle climate change. What do you think the U.S. role in that marketplace should be?
The U.S. role in that marketplace should not be creating more cylinders where we pump in $500 million and don't get anything out of it. We should have a vibrant market where the producers and consumers make deals that provide the technologies that are worthwhile, that provide energy at cost that consumers are willing to pay. What we have with a lot of the green energy, not all of it, is that we're forcing the technology at prices that are too high. Consumers aren't willing to pay it. It's not competitive. That's why we have to have these agreements with their mandates and their subsidies. But it's bad for the economy. Let the rest of the world have this horrible part of the economy. I don't think they're going to take it, but that's the threat. Go ahead, let them make that threat.
And do we know any kind of projections about number of jobs that could be created as a result if, in fact, the actions that you're talking about come to fruition?
I don't have those numbers at hand. I'm sorry, but you could expect if we had the Paris plan continue, we would actually lose hundreds of thousands of jobs. So what we're doing is we're not going to impose those costs on our economy by joining this flawed, bad, costly agreement.
Exxon and BP are two of the largest energy producers that want the U.S. to stay in the agreement. Exxon's manager for environmental policy said this earlier this year, quote, "It is prudent that the United States remain a party to the Paris Agreement to ensure a level playing field so that global energy markets remain as free and competitive as possible." How do you explain that support from energy producers?
You can't explain it using the words that he just said, all right? It's not a free, unfettered market when you have these mandates and these requirements. If you want to be cynical, you can say, look, we have two energy companies that are very big in natural gas, and we know that the first energy source that gets killed with something like the Paris Agreement will be coal, and it will be replaced by gas. So that's a cynical view. Another one is that they're just looking for public relations gains. But if we want certainty and we want a level playing field, let's not drag the rest of the world, certainly not us, into an agreement that promises nothing but higher costs but no environmental benefit. What's the point of an agreement that imposes hundreds of trillions of dollars of costs through the rest of the century and at best moderates temperatures by 0.3 of a degree? That's a lose-lose.
CBS News spoke to a key player in the 2015 agreement, Brian Deese, a former advisor to President Obama. Here's what he said.
I think what you're going to see is all of the other major economies of the world reaffirming their commitment to climate action and looking for ways to partner and show global leadership. And so what you'll see is those countries racing ahead and the United States falling behind. If we step back from this, we're doing China a favor. China would like nothing more than to position itself as the global leader in clean energy. And if we step away from the table, we'll make that easy for them, and they'll benefit from that economically.
What's your response to that?
You know, the other side is totally schizophrenic on this. On the one hand, they say we need to stay in to do our share, to bear our share of the costs. And then the other hand, when it looks like we say, hey, we don't want any part of this cost, they say, well, no, what we meant was you're actually going to make a huge amount of money by hampering your economy. That's silly. China can have the lead on this if they want. We want to be the leader in affordable energy, in economic growth, and more jobs, not in strangling the economy.
Pulling out of the agreement, what do you expect to see in terms of growth and jobs as a result of that?
What we will see is we won't be strangling our economy anymore. We'll be looking to free up energy so that we'll have even more affordable energy, which, by the way, has led to a bit of a manufacturing renaissance in the U.S. because of the low natural gas prices. Well, we want to have low natural gas prices, low oil prices, and low electricity prices. All of that is going to be good for economic growth. Raising those prices is bad for economic growth. It's really that simple.
All right, David Kreutzer from the Heritage Foundation, thanks very much for your perspective.
Thanks for having me on the show.